Before we start actually putting everything together, I am going to oil up the neck here because it hasn't been oiled ever. So use some neck oil. Get a nice microfiber cloth, something that won't damage it or scratch it or anything like that. And then the way I normally do this is I do like 2 or 3 frets at a time, and I put 1 or 2 dots per fret. And then take the cloth and just rub it in nice and tight in the threads, or in the frets. So there's nice even coverage of that oil. It should get nice and dark. So, not sure if the camera's picking up the difference between this fret and this fret, but you can see it's a pretty big difference. I'm going to set the camera up on a tripod, do a little time lapse, and we'll do the rest of the neck. Now it's time to put our tuning pegs in. These work pretty simple. So there's a nut here that's actually, let's undo this real quick. So you can see it's kind of like a nut or bolt that's threaded on both sides. So it's threaded on the inside and the outside. And we take a washer and we slide that along the top. And then from underneath, we line up our tuning peg, and then we tighten this down like this. And then the tuning peg itself, if we actually look at the tuning pegs, do have small screw holes to keep them from rotating back and forth. So I'm going to go find a drill bit that is just ever so slightly smaller than that, so we can pre-drill those holes so we don't strip out our screws when we start to put them in. And then we'll put the tuning pegs in. Alright, so I got them all squared up now, so they're going the right direction. And now I just have to, I have to drop screws on the ground. Alright, so now that we got the tuning pegs ready to go in, I'm just going to drop them into their holes here. And now I'm going to use a straight edge. I'm actually just going to use the block plate here to line them all up square. And once they're lined up square, I'm just going to use a screw to mark centers on all of them. Alright, that didn't work. Might need to go get something a little sharper to mark those centers, because I'm half covering the holes with my straight edge right now. I wonder if I can do the straight edge from somewhere else. So if I can, I could do it that way too. Could all be offset a little. I don't know if I like that though. I like them straight like that. So I think we'll do straight edge like that. Keep them nice and flat, and then I will grab something that I can use to put through the holes. Damn it, that's a pain in the butt. If straight lines work out, all I have to do is have 2 of them lined up at a time. And then I should be able to just tap down. And make a little bit of a hole there. Line this one up as well. Crap. Alright. Now only my first one doesn't have a pilot hole. The other ones all have pilot holes, which we can go a little deeper on now. And actually I can just do this one by eye. So we'll line it up. Go in. All right, now I'm going to take them all out and drill the pilot holes a little bit deeper and then screw them in. Now that's done, we can take our top nuts, put them through the washers, put them on here, line them up, and then tighten them down. I'll do that. Next up, we gotta set our bridge and our stop tail, which are these little guys. And you'll notice that there's a kind of a press fitting. So this goes in to the hole and gets pressed in, and then these can raise and lower to adjust your bridge and your stop tail. The stop tail goes on the back, bridge slider goes on the front. So I'm gonna have to unscrew these on all 4 of them, and then I'm gonna have to press this in, which I think I'm just gonna do with some C-clamps and maybe a socket and a couple of pieces of wood so we don't damage it, and some towels, since we just did all of our paint. But we'll just press in right into that, get it to go into there, and then we'll have that all set up and it's ready for electronics. So I decided what I'm gonna do is just take a nice little rag here, put it over the top, put a block of wood on top of that, make sure it's set up properly, and then just see if I can tap it down. That's working. Yep, so that's starting to go in. So this will work. We'll do this for all 4 of these. See, that one's nice in there pressed, so now we'll do the next one. All right, now we have all 4 of those pressed in. We can set our bridge rests in and set our stop tail rests in. So now these guys are in. This will slide on like this. Hopefully. Wow, is there that much play in this thing? The hole's not lined up well from the factory. That'd be a real bummer. And that does line up properly. These guys look like they're a little off on this stop tail. That would be a real shame. Next up, we got our pickups. So I've got 2 pickups here. There's one with a red wire, one with a black wire. The black wire is actually quite a bit shorter, so I'm assuming that goes down in the bridge pickup. Red one goes in the neck pickup because the lengths line up that way. So what we've got to do is there's a little hole inside here. I got to feed the black one through. Hole in the dead center. I got to feed the red one through that comes in here, and then that goes back into our electronics compartment, and then we can screw the pickups in. So let's do it. Next thing to do is put our tone and volume knobs in here and our volume jack. And then we are going to have to fish the wiring for our switch jack up here. And then we can set in our plate, our pickguard plate. But I want to get all the wiring pushed through first. And I'm now realizing that there might be a hole that goes into here as opposed to going all the way down the body. And if that's the case, I gotta take these off again to get in there. Damn it. I was correct. The hole went all the way through the body. It has to come from here, to here, and back to here. So I had to take it all apart again, such as this channel. So here's all of our hardware. These are the tone and volume knobs. And also here you can see that it came with the ends for the pickup selector already kind of pre-soldered together, and I just gotta run those up there. So I gotta cut the zip tie and then run it from here, through there, and then up to there. So let's take a look in the hole here. So you can see that these pots have, with the yellow lines on them, they've got the little capacitors on them. So those are tone knobs. And then we can chase them down and see which ones they're connected to here, red and black for the two pickups, and then appropriately put them in the right holes in here. And then also we've got our actual jack that's gonna go in the rearmost hole. So let's figure out which wire goes where, stick them in the right holes, mount them to the guitar. Got our pickup selector now wired in through, and there are 4 posts on that. So what you've got is the neck selector, the bridge selector, the tone knob so that the tone info can flow through, and on the other side there's a ground peg, and those line up to the different ones. So we gotta get out the soldering iron, solder this all up, and then we're ready to put the plate on. And then the last thing to do is solder up our pickups. So there's one thing I've learned over the years. It's I wish I would have bought a nice welder or soldering iron earlier. For years I used cheap, crappy, Radio Shack or whatever, and then I eventually spent the not that much money on a nice welder, and it just makes all of this stuff so much easier. So first thing we're gonna do, tin these guys, and then tin this guy, stick it all together, and then we'll have be able to put the plate on the pickguard plate. The kit didn't quite give me enough room to get that little ground onto the ground plug, so I'm gonna have to go get a little jumper wire so that I can ground this out. And once that's done, we're ready to go. Last thing to do top side, let's grab our plate, put it over, mount this guy in, and then line it up so that this is flush and it's pointing the right direction, and then we can drill our holes for our pick guard, screw that in, and the top side, other than obviously stringing it, is done. And then we just got a little more soldering to do. Oh, we got to put the pots back on too. Then a little more soldering on the back side, and we're ready to go. Time to put our volume and tone knobs on. I have these all kind of zeroed forward so that we're flat, and then I'll put volumes in front. Should be able to just push them on. Ooh, being hard to put on. There it goes. Okay, and then tones. Perfect. So here's the back of the body. Here's our neck pickup and our bridge pickup and standard grounding from the wiring harness. So what we're going to do is attach the ground to our actual input ground, and then we're going to attach the red center post to this guy down here in the corner, and the black one to this one right here, and then ground out onto the pots themselves with the grounding straps, and then we're done. Last thing to do, put our plate on, and I might have to route out the holes. It looks like it's a little off here. Our plate's a little too big, so I'm gonna have to either sand down the plate or sand open the hole a little bit, but we'll figure that out, get that done. I was able to get the stop tail down. It is a little wide, but it's fitting in. I started both screws at the very top and then have been holding tension against it and screwing it down. Now I think I'm going to put the strings on just so that there's some tension against the back of it, and then I can slowly push it down the rest of the way, get it resting down where it needs to be, down at the bottom of the saddle here. Then we can adjust this, put our strings on. I don't think I'm going to do a setup today. We will come back to that, do another show on getting this thing set up, but we might be able to at least get to make some sound here in a few minutes. I forgot that the nut came unglued from the factory somehow, and it looks like there was a residue of some glue down there. So I just got to re-glue it. It's no big deal. We're just going to grab a little Gorilla Glue and just put barely a dab on there, glue it in place, and then clean up the residue if there's anything that squirts out. Put the strings on, and that'll hold it in place until it dries. Here we go. We have a strung up and complete Firebird. The thing looks pretty darn good when you really lay it down. Take a look at it. Not perfect by any means. There's still a lot of work left to be done, but we'll get to that another time. All right, guys. Well, if there's one thing I learned is that this was a lot more work to do this project than I thought it was going to be in the first place. The painting and the sanding and the polishing and all that took quite a bit of time. There's still some stuff that needs to be done on this project. I gotta double check the wiring, make sure it's all working properly. I haven't even plugged it in yet. I also want to put some good strap locks on it. It's got some crappy Chinese strings on it. We're gonna put some good elixirs on it. And then verify everything and then do a really nice setup. So I'll save that for another video for another day. If you like this sort of stuff, I know it's not car stuff, let me know. All right, thanks. See you guys next time.